Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that loves to reward winners. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 35 Total Madness Season Finale. That's right, the challenge finals for this season have come and gone, and MTV has crowned the new champions of the challenge. But before we get into all that, let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Jenny and Rogan taking care of business in the hall brawl. And then TJ announcing that the rest of the 9 competitors that are still left in this game are all headed to the finals. But before they all pack up and leave the bunker, they all get dressed up, head to the bar, and are celebrating. Now, in this moment before heading to the challenge finals and before things get really real, this is where we get a glimpse into what it would mean for everyone to win that money and what it would mean to them to be crowned a challenge champ. We get a look into Jenny, who's talking about how she wants to take care of her parents, give them a vacation, help out with the siblings. Melissa talking about how she wants to do something special for her dad. Bayleigh talking about wanting to have an official wedding ceremony and starting off her life with Swaggy C off to the right foot by winning this grand prize money. Fessy talking about taking care of his family. Bananas wanting to stamp out his legacy in the challenge with this win, getting his 7th win in the challenge if he can make it through these finals. And Cory talking about doing this for Ryder, his family, and avenging Nelson's sacrifice, that it wasn't in vain with what happened with last episode. And Rogan talking about how he wants to show off that he deserves to win this money. Now everybody's doing their thing, having a good time, celebrating, and that's around the time of 6:47 a.m. where the bunker alarms go off, signifying that everybody needs to get their bags packed. We're on a journey to meet TJ in a snowy valley to get these challenge finals started. When the challenge competitors meet up with TJ, he's talking about how these challenge finals he helped design. They are going to be going through multiple checkpoints, going through crazy stuff within those checkpoints, and if they can't get through those checkpoints, then they would be eliminated from the challenge finals. They're going to be going through crazy elevation, having to withstand crazy temperatures to win a crazy amount of money. We're going to start things off in checkpoint 1 in the challenge 1 of these finals called the Ring of Fire. Now, in this first part of the finals, the competitors are going to have to don these cross-country skis, go a long distance to find a pile of logs and wood. They can carry as much as 3 logs per round. And what you're going to have to do is carry these logs back to where you started, put it in your fire pit. Once you have 12 pieces of wood in your fire pit, you will light your wood, light the fuse, and it'll light the ring of fire, signifying you can move on to make a mad dash or a snowy saunter up to the checkpoint finish line. And TJ makes it abundantly clear that the challenge loves to reward winners. So remember that while you're doing this whole challenge. So TJ blows the horn, everybody's going off. Fessy is off to a fast start, but he's slowly losing ground as he's going through this challenge. He loses it to Bananas, then he loses it to Cory. He picks it back up. There's a lot of jockeying for position in the front for the guys. And then we have on the women's side, Jenny gets out to a fast early lead and then keeps a great pace. Then it's Kaycee, then Bayleigh, then Melissa. Other major things that happen in this early checkpoint: Bayleigh steps wrong in the snow, feels something tear in her knee, but she will not give up. She will do whatever it takes to make it through this checkpoint. She is not quitting. So looking at this first challenge, this is definitely endurance based. I mean, this whole challenge is going to be endurance based, but this one in particular, they decided to start off this checkpoint where they're having to go back and forth a long distance, not really carrying too heavy of stuff because the logs are split already. It kind of reminds me of War of the Worlds, where they had to do that crazy bike ride over and over again in the desert, withstanding that tremendous amount of heat. So this one's going back and forth. We have Cory get to all of his logs first, but Fessy was right behind him. Fessy actually lights his logs off first, and he's off to find the checkpoint. And then Cory gets his done, and Bananas. Then we have Jenny, Kaycee. We're moving along. Finally, they pass the checkpoint, and we have Cory crossing the finish line first for the guys, then Fessy, Bananas, Rogan, and Kyle. And for the women's side, Jenny gets first for the women, then Kaycee, then Bayleigh, and then Melissa is way behind everybody. But once we cross the finish line, TJ is there saying, hey, congratulations, especially to Cory and Jenny. You guys won it for the men and the women, meaning that you will make up the final tribunal of the season. This is a 2-person tribunal. You will be throwing 2 people in to the final elimination of the season. But you don't have to worry about that right now, as everybody's going to be working together to get to this giant compound way up on this snow, way up on this mountain, and you're gonna have to work together as like a team bonding exercise to make it to the compound. Then we will be doing an elimination up there, where we're gonna have a ceremony, a house vote, and all that good stuff. Part 1 of these finals I thought was pretty decent. I like the endurance portion of it. It's gonna be really difficult. This portion of the finals is something that I haven't really seen in the challenge a lot of, where you're working together to get to the next portion of the finals. I think that this was all just a major thing to, one, give Jenny and Cory some time to think, but also another experience to make it to the compound together, but also just get everybody good and dog tired to, once you get to that elimination, we're gonna have these people just absolutely exhausted. Finally, we get up to the compound, and there we will have a house vote where everyone except for Jenny and Cory will be voting in somebody to go into the elimination, 1 guy and 1 girl. And we don't even really get a vote, as Rogan nominates himself because he feels as though he's a lone wolf. It happened last time. That's why he went into the hall brawl, that everybody was going to vote him anyways. And then Melissa, who felt really, really bad about how poor she did in the first checkpoint, that she decides to nominate herself. And then it comes down to Cory and Jenny's decision on who they're going to throw in. Jenny decides she's going to throw in her biggest competition in the game, and that is Kaycee. She's going to throw her into the elimination, hoping that there will be some form of tripping up or some form of luck that possibly Melissa will pull this out and knock out Kaycee, leaving this wide open for Jenny to take this over. And Cory votes in Bananas, who is the biggest competition. Fessy kind of gassed out on the first portion of this finals, so why not throw in the 6-time winner? Hope that Rogan will take out Bananas, and that would leave maybe a bigger opportunity for Cory to win this money, win his first ever challenge championship. Before we get to even knowing what the elimination is, Melissa talks about how she hates that she's not in better shape. She hates that she made it to the finals and feels that she wants to quit. So she just pulls herself out of the competition, giving Kaycee that W. And Melissa is eliminated from these finals. We move over to the guys' side, and that's when TJ announces that they will be playing Knockout. And what they're going to be doing is they're going to be on opposite sides of this field, touching this barrel. And once TJ blows the horn, they're going to have to make a mad dash to jump and ring this bell in the middle of this field that they have. And the first person to ring this bell first, best out of 2 out of 3 rounds, will win this elimination and stay in this competition and run these finals, while the other person will be eliminated on top of this mountain. Round 1 is a little bit of a mess, as Bananas gets to the bell first. He just can't jump as high as he wanted to, but he finally jumps, gets round 1, and then in round 2 they make a mad dash, and Bananas is able to just raise the bell with his fingers, getting round 2, winning 2-0, and Rogan is eliminated. This is where TJ said, hey, like we said, we love to reward winners, so all the winners from today, which was Cory, Jenny, who made it into the tribunal, and then the winners of the elimination, Kaycee and Bananas, all get to stay in the compound, out of the cold, into the warm, in a bed, while everyone else, which is Fessy, Bayleigh, and Kyle, are going to be staying outside next to a fire where they can sit or lay down on these like barrels. That's when Bayleigh is looked at by the medics, and she talks about how she feels as though that she tore her MCL and she just cannot make it any further. You can tell that she is upset by having to pull herself out of these finals. It's tough to pull yourself out, but you have to know your limits. I mean, if she kept on moving with this tear, or even just hurting her knee just even a little bit, just keep on going through this elevation, pushing yourself too much, and it could really destroy the cartilage in your knee, or just go further than just this game, and it could be way worse than what it is right now. I would probably pull myself if I was in major injury, or pull something or tore something, because you just can't do that. Pushing yourself and then putting yourself into maybe even permanent harm later on past the game into real life stuff. So completely understandable. That means Fessy and Kyle are left outside, and Kyle is nonstop talking, and Fessy just wants to be silent. He is upset, while everyone else is staying in a room that I would say is decorated in too many skulls. I don't know. I think they got like the clearance rack in Party City once Halloween was over. You thought that the challenge season had too many tanks in it. Now there's too many skulls, and there's just too many skulls in this room on these tapestries, and they finally get to sleep after 6 hours of being in the dark, in the night, in the snow. That's when the producers tell Fessy and Kyle to go inside. So to do a quick review of what happened in the elimination within this finals, I think that it was very simple, but you have to remember that these people were going since the early morning, going through this valley. They are dog tired. They're running through this snow, knee-deep snow, trying to ring this bell. It wasn't super exciting to watch, but they're exhausted, and I completely understand why Melissa pulled from the competition. I completely understand why Bayleigh pulled from the competition. And I think in earlier seasons, we wouldn't have seen them give beds to the people that did not win. But this is a different era. This is a different situation. And the advantage to winning is there, as they were out there for 6 hours. Maybe they're getting like 4 more hours of sleep inside the heat, getting a little bit more rested than whatever they would have gotten, because they would have been frozen. We would have had a Fessicle out there in the snow if he would have stayed out there all night. So I completely understand why they brought them in, especially once seeing how much snowfall was happening out there once they all woke up and were meeting TJ out for part 2 and day 2. Now on day 2, it's very simple. It's just a race up the mountains to the finish line. And on their way up there, there's going to be math problems on these boards, kind of like in War of the Worlds, where they had to get the lock combination to get their oars out to get on these boats and make it to the next part of the finals. This time, what you're trying to do is run up this mountain, figure out a math problem. It's going to be a code to a skull. You're going to have to open up the lock, throw the skull, break it, and then you can move on to just making a mad dash or a snowy saunter again up the mountain to the finish line. The first man and woman to cross the finish line would win their portion of $1 million. Now, because the winners are rewarded in the challenge, Cory and Jenny will get a 1-minute head start ahead of the other winners of the elimination, which is Bananas and Kaycee, who will get a 1-minute head start over Fessy and Kyle. So TJ blows the horn and we're off and running. And again, I'm not a huge fan. This really reminds me of War of the Worlds 2, where the UK team had such a big lead after day 1, and then they only got a 5-minute head start ahead of everybody. The whole thing about this advantage is if you can get the math problem correct, you would be in such a good advantage. However, we know that Cory is not the best at math, neither is Bananas, neither is Kyle really, but when we get to it, Fessy, even though being 2 minutes behind Cory and Jenny in the lead, he gets to his skull, he gets the math problem correct overall, first overall. He cracks that skull and heads for the finish line as fast as possible. He is in first place, just like in checkpoint 1, day 1. However, Bananas is right behind him as he gets his math problem correct, opens up that skull, then Jenny, then Kyle. Cory is getting frustrated. He finally opens it up, and Kaycee is the last one. She has to go all the way back to the beginning, looking at everything from the very beginning. She gets to her lock a second time, and she is still wrong. She times out on this on this challenge to where she is way behind everyone. Jenny is not slowing down. She is like the Terminator. She is like a machine, and she does not stop for anything as she crosses that finish line first, touches that red skull, and TJ is like, yeah, you're the winner, and she cannot believe it. Even though she is the first one out of everybody to touch this skull, she wins. Bananas is right on her tail. He touches the red skull. He is announced the winners on the guy's side. Then Kyle crosses the finish line, third overall, but he is second for the guys. Then we have Cory cross the finish line, fourth overall, third for the guys. Then Fessy and then Kaycee cross that finish line. Everyone of the 6 who started the day finished the challenge finals out. They should all be proud of themselves, and congratulations to Jenny and Bananas. Once this challenge was over, Bananas went live on his Instagram account, and he was talking with Jenny, and there was talks about there were checkpoints that were edited out of the finals, which blows my mind. Why are we still editing things out of the finals? We are in quarantine. This is it. This is the final episode of this challenge season, and there was talks about daggers being thrown. There was a checkpoint with daggers. Why are we editing that out? Why don't we have a longer finals for two-parters? There's nothing after this challenge season. I mean, we have what? A road of ridiculousness, marathons and reruns to keep us encapsulated for the rest of this year. Why are we doing this? We should have this final as long as we can, but no, it is one episode, and I have some pros and cons, but I can get to that tomorrow's video. Which, speaking about tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk, I wanted to just talk about how I want to give the whole episode to you guys. So I'm having a comment section takeover for tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. So in this video's comment section, leave me anything and everything you have to say about these challenge finals. Tell me if you loved it. Tell me if you didn't like it. What was your favorite part? What was your least favorite part? Tell me anything and everything about these challenge finals, because I will be taking them and reading your comments, reading your questions, answering your questions, and all that good stuff in tomorrow's Tiny Table Talk. Overall, in the challenge finals, I think everyone did the best they could. They worked their heart out. They did everything that they could have done. I'm a little weary still about one episode finals. I'm not a huge fan of them. They seem kind of anticlimactic. Overall, the feeling is just not there, but it was still enjoyable in some parts. I think some of it was a little bit drawn out in other parts. I don't like the fact that we hear of stuff being edited out of the finals. This is not a time to edit things out. This is time to put all the stuff in as much as we can, because there's just no more challenge probably for the rest of this year, and I want more stuff. We need more content. I mean, there's not a lot of reality TV being shot right now that's going to be coming out anytime soon. So why edit things out and give us a shorter final? I just don't understand it myself. Thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really, really soon with more challenge content, more content in general. And until then, peace.